Welcome to the Screen Rot Podcast, the podcast where we discuss the weirdest, worst content that's been rotting our screens and indeed our minds. Shout out to the listeners, the subscribers, the people who give us nice ratings and reviews, and most importantly, the female listeners of the podcast who are some of the most gorgeous and sexy women in the entire world. I'm here with Jake Farrell.
Oh, I didn't know if the intro would stay. I'm glad it did.
Oh, and sorry, kisses to all the women when we see them.
And a wink.
And a wink.
And a wink.
Kisses and a wink for the... Now, we're going to be getting... This is going to go out in July?
Yeah, first week of July, yeah.
First week of July. It's going to be a month till the live show. I'm buzzing.
I can't wait.
I'm so excited for that. Now, it is the night before my daughter's birthday, so I can't get too drunk. But...
Smash cut too.
Well, yeah. But you know, I know there is appetite for an afters, so I am going to organise an afters. I'm going to organise like a little room in a pub somewhere or like a space in a... I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to organise something. There'll be drinks afterwards. Because we're... What's the show? The show's like... 6 to half 7 or half 7, half. It's done by half 7, 8 o'clock, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like that. I don't know.
How should he know? What's everyone asking him for?
Organise the whole thing. But yeah, so there'll be drinks afterwards and all that. Mate, there are people coming from all over the place. I know of people coming from Hertfordshire.
Start with that. Good.
Well,
20 minutes away on the train?
Yeah, I'm building up though.
Okay, right, you're building
People are
up.
coming from fucking Devon.
Devon?
People are coming from Devon.
So when you say there's people coming from all over the place, you mean Hertfordshire and one
Hertfordshire
person
and
from
Devon, yeah. I imagine the rest is London. But no, actually Essex, I know there's Essex people coming and you have to have Essex people.
Oh, we love Essex people.
Have Essex people. So yeah, I'm fucking so excited.
Here's an idea.
I've got surprises for you.
Oh, God. Don't, please.
I've got a few surprises for you on the night.
Oh, no.
There's a few things planned that you're not aware of yet.
Oh, God. There's just the thought of that just filling me with dread. I'm going to have to take some legal advice before the recording to see how, what would happen.
If we need legal, mate, I can ask Freemasons.
Can I just say, on the surprises,
yeah,
I just want to really kind of impress upon you, no drugs or weapons should be brought into the venue.
I won't bring any. It's up to the listeners what they do.
But any of the people involved in the surprises...
Oh, yeah, no weapons or drugs. No,
and people, anything involving criminality, whilst being kind of a funny bit here, once brought into a live venue arena, you can't take that back.
Yeah, I know, but bear in mind, I know the venue quite well.
Yeah.
So they won't.
So if someone brought a gun, they'd be fine with it. Yeah.
No one's going to bring a gun. It's not those friends that are coming. But,
yeah.
But no. It's going to be fucking banging, mate. I'm really excited for it. It's also. I think that's why I want it to be behind a paywall. That's. I think we teased this before, but for people who can't make it, we are filming it, and you will be able to watch it. But it will be behind a paywall. We need to organise that, actually. You need to get someone to film it.
Let's do this off mic.
Well, no.
What time was it? Who's recording it? Can I bring a gun? Fucking hell.
We need to get serious. Anything else we want to talk about? There was a few things I wanted to talk about before we need to get serious. Oh, God.
We need to get serious.
I need to rein it in. I need to be careful. No, right. What did I want to talk about? There's a couple of things I was going to tell you about. What's been going on in your life? Well, I mean, I had the whole...
Go on.
Good podcasting, isn't it? What's been going on in your life, mate? Well, no, I had the mad week, didn't I? Where
do you want to talk about the mad week?
Yeah, a little bit. I don't want to talk about it too much. My partner, God bless her, she had surgery on her nose, nothing too serious, but there was, the recovery wasn't easy. She had, in and out of hospital a little bit. My son had his tonsils and adenoids out, so it's been a fairly hectic couple of weeks in the
What I will say is that your life makes an episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm look like the simplest thing ever. Larry David would look at your life and go, God, that geezer's got it tough. That geezer keeps getting into scrapes.
Oh, okay. Well, all right. Do you want to talk about scrapes? This is another thing that fucking has happened to me. You know that journalist who I called a cunt?
Yes, I do.
Mate, that's been driving me mental. So we'll talk about... I don't mind talking about this for a minute. So I was...
I'm sure this is going to de-escalate the situation.
Well, this is... But, yeah. So I... So it's in the middle of a week they've been going mental,
Yes.
right? And the Euros is on, and it's like I'm trying to enjoy myself, and then everyone keeps going to bloody hospital.
You said the Euros is on, like a serious thing had happened to you, like that everyone would know about.
It takes up the calendar, though. Do you know? It does take up the calendar. Like you know, that's you know when I said to you a minute ago.
My kids are ill. The Euros is on.
Yeah, but you know when I said to you a minute ago, like, what you been like? What's your life? It is the Euros, isn't it? That's what's been going on.
It's a full-time job.
Look at us sat here in our England shirts. The Euros are on, and so you know I've been trying to enjoy that, and then so because the Euros is on, I write for the Metro sometimes, right? And I you know the what will happen quite a lot is, and one of the editors listens. Shout out Ross, but. You know, sometimes they'll be like, hey, this thing has happened. Do you want to quickly turn around an article? And it's like, yeah, sick. So I wrote this article about Gary Lineker. I wasn't even slagging him off. I was just like, the thrust of the article was like, basically, he has, he keeps making these jokes that are a bit cringe, and he keeps being a bit harsh. He was horrible about Harry Kane, and you know, he's a bit
out of turn for him.
And he said something about Frank Lampard. Did you see the thing with Frank Lampard where he said about him going bald?
No.
It's so funny. You know, like the thing with Frank Lampard is he's always sort of laughing like that, and then he goes serious.
Yeah.
There was, oh mate, it's so funny. There was like they were saying about someone running past Lampard if he was still playing. He's like, oh god, he just run past me. He just see the back of my head. And Lineker made the joke. He was like, well, he wouldn't want to see the state of the back of your head nowadays. And like, if you just focus on Lampard when he receives the joke, he sort of laughs long and then realises what it means. He goes, oh. And that really like went viral a bit. So I just wrote this article. I was like, look, it feels like nowadays what Lineker's doing is almost courting attention and bad press,
by making
these kind of out of turn jokes, and I was like, because I think he is fading into irrelevancy. You know, numbers are down on Match of the Day. People are seeking other ventures. People are watching stuff like True Geordie and Chunks and all these people online. I Show Speed, and they're becoming millionaires. While you know the Lineker thing is slowly dying out. I got this fucking prick. I won't name him, but I got this author. I showed you the messages, didn't I?
Yeah. He was very bizarre. He was very, very upset about a very normal article.
But he came into my DMs and he was like, you must be really struggling for copy because I've read your article and it's cringeworthy. And it's always the way that this happens when I'm drunk. And I should have learnt by now, just fucking don't reply.
Yeah.
So I told you what happened with Sky, didn't I? When I did the Russell Howard hour, and I had to write a fucking letter of apology to the Sky commissioners.
A Larry David plot comes to life. I was just on the Russell Howard hour. I was just trying to tell my jokes. So you saw this message, you thought, I'm not going to engage with him, and you walked out.
No, I was drunk, so I did engage. So I was like, who are you? What do you want? And he was like, you quoted figures in your article for the Metro about Gary Lineker that were inaccurate. Gary Lineker's the nation's most beloved sports presenter. And I was like, I'm not saying he's not, mate. And he kept going at me, and I tried to be careful with the wording. I thought I was being clever.
No, you didn't. You called him a cunt in the first message.
No, I didn't call him a cunt. What I said was, I was like, mate, it's Saturday afternoon, the sun's shining. I'm not going to argue with some cunt on the internet about Gary Lineker's viewing figures.
Sorry, that is calling him a cunt.
Well, no, it's only calling him a cunt if he wants to say, well, I'm the cunt on the internet. He's arguing with you. It's like, well, you've called yourself a cunt.
I'm sorry. Thanks for playing.
But anyway, he then goes, I know who your editor is at the Metro, and I'm going to let them know about your name calling. Name calling, you fucking wet wipe. Name calling.
Really good to try and stop people getting work.
I was going to set the rotters on him. I was going to, because, you know, the Instagram page is flying at the moment because of our content, or is it because I put a video on our Instagram page of a kid who sniffs his mum's knickers?
That was really a really dark day for me, because my basic thing to Jacob is keep the aesthetic the same, only post videos of us. That's what's going to get the traction. Jacob posts a video of a kid admitting on a yacht in Malia that he sniffs his mum's knickers. It does unbelievable numbers.
We get 250,000 views.
We get about 500 followers as a result. And he's just there. I bet you wish you hadn't said that now, had you, you fucking cunt? Look at you, you fucking stupid stumblebum. I'll post what I fucking like. Next thing, he's posted a fucking horse getting wanked off for 700 views.
No one liked that. Let's start it. See, we always find something to talk about. Right, let's start the episode. So, this week, ladies and gentlemen, we've got a Rot Revisit.
Talking about legal advice.
Talking about legal... Well, yeah, mate. There is there's a defence for every offence. We're doing a Rot Revisit. We're returning to someone that we've done an episode on in the past because developments have happened in their life that need addressing.
That is fair to say.
Much requested. This week, ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about Ahkmed Yakoob. Yes, mate, get on this.
Go on.
Get on this.
Go on.
Ahkmed Yakoob's life is becoming like if someone from Birmingham tried to rewrite The Wire. Ahkmed Yakoob, ladies and gentlemen, if you're not aware of this man, Ahkmed Yakoob is a lawyer from Birmingham who initially gained traction on social media by creating videos where he was posting about his services as a lawyer, and his catchphrase is "There's a defence for every offence." Right now, it rhymes. It doesn't really make sense because if it's an offence, then you have actually committed a crime. The point is, he went viral because, and he was essentially like you know, very opaquely being like, well, very transparently being like, if you're a criminal,
bell me,
call me, and I will get you off. And every now and then but then he just started like he hired a videographer.
Yeah.
There was this insane glow up, and it was really trying to hit the algorithm hard. You know,
time.
all the edits and stuff like that. I mean, there was one video we spoke about when we did the episode, and go back and listen to that episode if you haven't, because it's one of the best in my opinion. But it was like any hot topic that was trending, he would just make a video.
He would
about
jump
it.
on, yeah.
Kind of from the angle of being a lawyer, kind of just to give his opinion.
Sometimes not.
I mean, the one that we sort of spoke about the most on the episode is when it was around the time of the ban on XL bullies, and he did this video that was like, XL bullies are being banned, and now there are people protesting the ban on XL bullies. And then after sort of declaring the situation, he was like, my opinion on this is, I think rather than criminalising these innocent dogs, we should be criminalising paedophiles and sex offenders. What does everyone think about that? And it's like, it's just trying to get clicks and trying to get engagement with like mental stuff. Anyway, so we were like, yeah, okay, Brummy lawyer, going, doing anything to kick the algorithm, all good.
And just on, because I think it's important about where he's ended up going next and what he's tried to do, is that when you say he's kind of transparently trying to appeal to criminals, like this guy wasn't nudge, nudge, wink, winking. This guy was shoving you in the chest.
Oh, yeah.
With his eyes closed as to how much it was like, look, even if you do something naughty, I'll sort it out for you.
He like, and again, go back and watch the episode. He would do videos where he'd be stood arm in arm with some guy who quite clearly didn't really want to be on camera, and he'd be like, my client here was accused of murder 3 times. Now, the way we got him off murder is we made it very clear to the courtroom that whilst he was at the murder, he didn't do the murder. And that's why he lives free and he drives a sports car. And it's like this murderer's just stood there like, And do you know what? It's interesting, actually. We were talking about the social media of our podcast before this. At the moment, we've got 2 reels that are going quite viral. One of them is the lad on a boat in Malia, and someone's interviewing him, and they're going, tell us something you've never done before. And he's going, I want to sniff my mum's knickers. The other one is a clip of us talking about Snowy Danger from the podcast.
Yeah.
But one of the first clips that did numbers was us talking about Ahkmed Yakoob.
Yes.
And it found a load of, I'm going to say it, criminals from Birmingham who were all like, fuck this, you don't even know Mr. Yakoob. If you try and say anything about Mr. Yakoob, I love Mr. Yakoob, fuck you. We had to turn the comments off because we were getting so much abuse.
And you could tell from the way the comments were written that these people, in trying to protest theirs and his innocence, came very close to threatening to kill us.
Yeah. Mr. Yakoob would never defend a murderer. If you say he will, I'll fucking kill you. Anyway, so that's where he was. That's where Ahkmed Yakoob was. We started getting messages a few weeks ago, around the time before the general election was announced, around the time of the local elections. When was that? Was that April?
Yeah, it was about a month and a half. Yeah, so it wasn't long before they announced the general election, the mayoral local elections in Birmingham.
Mayoral local elections in Birmingham. Who's running for the mayor? And I don't think it was mayor of Birmingham.
It was mayor of the West Midlands. Yeah.
Was it West Midlands, or was it like a smaller part of?
No, I think it was. Yeah, it was the whole. He was an independent candidate for the whole of the West Midlands.
So running as an independent candidate to represent the whole of the West Midlands.
Independent candidate, slightly redundant in that. So it's like, you don't need to tell us that no political party wants you on their ticket.
Well, it's Ahkmed Yakoob. It was Ahkmed Yakoob. He's running for office.
Yes.
He wants to represent. And it's okay, there's a few disclaimers we should do before we talk about it. So first of all,
it's not all giggles.
yeah, it's not all giggles, and I think it's important when talking about anything like this that we do a little disclaimer. So Ahkmed Yakoob, a big part of his campaign was he was running on a very kind of like pro-Palestine movement, which is, we shouldn't have to say this, but I think it's important we do. Obviously, Jake and I
I did not think we'd get here.
Yeah, I'm laughing because it's like the stuff we usually talk about. How have we got
Talking about the schooner score a half an hour ago. Now we're having to declare our position on Israel-Palestine.
Fucking hell. We are obviously
I think he was calling for a ceasefire. I think most reasonable people would also
anyone would agree that's what needs to happen now. You know, the killing and it's absolutely fucking disgusting what's happening in Palestine. So obviously we are in agreement with Ahkmed Yakoob on what should happen in Palestine, as I would hope most listeners of this podcast are. Horrendous events going on there.
We are not in agreement with Ahkmed Yakoob on a number of other things that he said.
This is the problem, and it's Ahkmed Yakoob. I find local politics so funny sometimes because what it attracts, it doesn't. Like, it obviously attracts career politicians who are in their infancy before they become MPs and before they go on to then, really chase the big stuff in politics.
And nutters.
Exactly. That's what. I don't want to say. I want to be really careful. We're not saying that Ahkmed Yakoob is a nutter because he wants a ceasefire in Palestine, right? But what often happens is people who are incredibly passionate about one political cause end up running for office in small campaigns, in small elections like this.
Where they don't have a direct influence on that issue.
Where you can't really do anything about that issue, but you do need to do quite a lot of stuff about smaller issues. And what we should also address is that Ahkmed Yakoob has had a lot of backlash. Tommy Robinson's called him out, and there is a really nasty kind of like far right movement where they're like, fuck Ahkmed Yakoob, fuck anyone likes him who's trying to talk about things like Palestine when we need to talk about things in Great Britain. But there is also a kind of smaller thing where it's not just racist like Tommy Robinson. There are also people being like I remember there was we should say Ahkmed Yakoob has put a lot of money into this campaign. To be mayor, I saw a tweet where there was like a billboard of him that he'd put up, and by the way, the glow up is fucking ridiculous.
He looks fantastic.
The man has lost so much weight. He has a fresh fade every 2 days, and he borrows sunglasses from Drake, right? But there's this billboard in Birmingham where it's like, vote Ahkmed Yakoob and I will push for a ceasefire in Gaza.
Okay.
But then in like the background there's like just a load of like dilapidated buildings in Birmingham, and it's like there was loads of like people from Birmingham who were like, isn't this the problem?
Right.
That like the people trying to represent us have got global concerns, but they're not worried about the fact the city's falling to shit.
Yeah.
And it's obviously, God, we're walking such a fucking tightrope.
What we're saying is this is a sensitive and complex issue, and the two idiots in England shirts in someone's spare room.
I forgot about the shirts. But what's funny is, God bless him, Ahkmed Yakoob, he's fighting the good fight and he's trying to do something about people who are suffering in Palestine.
On that issue.
But the people of Birmingham are like, fair fucks on Palestine, mate, but when are the bins getting taken out? Do you know what I mean? What about the clean air zone?
The other thing that's relevant to Birmingham specifically, and so one of my best mates lives in Birmingham, and their council effectively went bankrupt.
Yeah.
And as a result, they had to apply for this thing where you're not allowed to raise council tax by any more than 5%. Fucking hell, I'm discussing council tax on the podcast. What am I talking about?
Serious,
but they had to apply for this thing in order to not go bankrupt, where they've raised council tax by 20%. So everyone's paying shitloads more, but at the same time, they've cut everything. So they don't get anything. No libraries, no sports stuff, no nothing. You just pay in more. Yeah. And in the background to that, Ahkmed Yakoob is wandering around looking like Drake, filming videos for Instagram, being like, I reckon I can handle this.
Yes.
Get me in.
Right, we've skipped ahead of like the videos. We're just going to show a video now, which is kind of. Should we do this, or do we need to?
I think we talked tonight. Let's go into the campaign launch.
Let's go. So this is how Ahkmed Yakoob launched his campaign to be the mayor of the West Midlands.
Yeah, and like you say, he's looking absolutely fantastic as he does it.
I am Ahkmed Yakoob, and I am your independent candidate for the West Midlands mayor elections, which will be on the 2nd of May. For 13 years now,
the music's fantastic.
West Midlands, but crime rates are at the highest.
Wonder why that is.
Families are in debts. Unemployment is at the highest it's ever been. There's been absolutely nothing that's been done to change. I want to make a change, and I want to go up against the mainstream parties. I want to show people that we have.
He's a great public speaker.
As people, and we can go up against the elites. Why do we have to follow these parties when they are doing nothing for us? So please lend me your vote on the 2nd of May, and I will be the change that you guys are looking for. You must remember that I am and will be the voice of the voiceless.
Now, can I just... Sorry, go on.
Yeah, you go.
Well, I'm just going to say, right, that this guy who started out as a Better Call Saul, but for Birmingham, doing videos where he's like, don't use WhatsApp because they'll find you. And if you've said you're going to deal drugs on WhatsApp, that's no good.
They will get in your Snapchat. Delete your passwords and listen to your lawyer.
And now he's running to be the independent mayor of the West Midlands. He's got a really slickly made campaign. And, by the way, basically everything he says in that video is fucking right.
Yeah, no, you're
I was
you're
calling
right.
him a nutter earlier, but this is how fucked our political system is in this country. That this guy, whose whole thing, by the way, and at the start he says, crime's gone up.
Well,
it's because
that's
you're
the
getting all
one.
the
Yeah,
fucking
that's
criminals
the
off! That's why crime's going up, because you're teaching our criminals how to evade justice!
He's made 6,000 TikTok videos teaching criminals how to avoid jail, and he's got the fucking cheek to say that crime is up. He's sat there in a fucking 10 grand Gucci suit that he's paid for by getting criminals off the hook. It's so funny.
Why are all the hens in the hen house dead, says Mr. Fox. Why is the house on fire, says Mr.
Exactly
Arsonist.
that. It's exactly that, isn't it? Have you
my
noticed these houses are on fire? You need a man with a hose pipe. Pay Ahkmed Yakoob to put your house... Mr. Yakoob, set my house on fire. Shut up.
But it's just like all of that stuff. His basic definition of these two parties basically pass power back and forth between them.
Yeah, he's right.
They do fuck all.
He's right.
And crime's going up because Mr. Coop's going all the criminal stuff. They don't make any investment in public services. They don't do anything to help people. I'm going to come in and do that. And it's like, that is right. But the fact that the system has channeled that rightness through the fucking lawyer who's getting criminals off is mad. Why can we not have actually a real
it's like
candidate?
That Batman thing. It's like he's not the hero you want, but he's probably the hero you deserve, isn't he? It's Ahkmed Yakoob. He's not the hero Gotham wants, but he's the hero.
Mr. Yakoob, Mr. Ahkmed Yakoob, he's not the hero that Birmingham needs. He's the one that it deserves right now. Oh my god!
But the funny thing is, I'm glad we're doing this episode now because people suggested it, and me and you initially we're not.
This is going to go out. This is going to go out on election day.
Yeah. Oh, fucking banging! Great. Okay. Well, let's talk. So, I mean, one thing that I think is quite funny. I actually know someone, and again, I won't mention his name. It's like one of my girlfriend's best mate's boyfriends, right? Young fella, our age, and he's basically running for parliament in. I won't say where because I really need to be careful. But
as an independent.
No, he's with Labour.
Right.
But basically, he's been working for the Labour Party for a while, and this guy, he used to be an actor. He's worked in PR companies, but. And having known him for a few years, he's like a young guy. His heart is really in the fucking right place, and he does genuinely want change. And he's running in his hometown,
right?
And he's like, I really want to fix stuff.
Is it like a Tory safe seat? He's like,
a Tory, yeah.
Right.
Well, this is the thing. It was, but now it's like
they're so fucked.
and it's like fuck. Paul might win. I shouldn't say his name. No, don't bleep it. It's fine. Don't bleep anything ever. But. Take me away! But anyway,
this is a really like serial killer who wants to be caught situation. You doing a podcast? Sorry, go on.
But the funny thing is like someone like him, this like young guy who combs his hair, who's very earnest, who really cares about his hometown. Like he'll get called into an office one day, and it will have happened here, where someone will get called into an office, and it'll be like, I think we might win the election. It's like, well, you might, but there is actually an independent voice who's really gaining traction, and they'll have sat in like a conference room, and they'll have to bring up this. And they'll be like, who the fuck is this? And it's Ahkmed Yakoob.
This is the thing, and like this is why our podcast is such an invaluable public service. We are seeing it mutate now into politics, and this was always going to happen.
Yeah. This is it. This podcast is about social media. We spoke about how it affects, people who would have been celebrities. We spoke about how it affects comedians, business, and now politics.
And it's like the mutation of the person going from being a Instagram lawyer celebrity into a kind of viable or actually quite widely supported political candidate, despite some very objectionable views that we're going to come on to in a minute, none of which are raised in that video, but is so astounding. And like you say, there is going to be people somewhere strategizing, going, how do we beat?
How do we stop Ahkmed Yakoob?
He's like the Joker and Batman at the same time.
Do you know what the dream is for me? The dream is for me that somewhere, some poor fucking
Oxbridge grad.
Yeah, some poor Oxbridge grad who's on like 19k a year for the Labour Party. Someone's gone, just do some fucking research on Ahkmed Yakoob, and by tomorrow's meeting we need to know more about this guy. And they've Googled it and they've found us.
They've not had time to listen to it. Look, these guys, they're a social media consultancy. They've done a whole episode about Ahkmed Yakoob. I've sent it to everyone. You need to listen to it as soon as possible.
You and I sat in my spare room honking about XL bullies.
So I was doing crack, right? I was doing crack in Berlin, and this XL bullies run out.
But I mean, so we should say essentially what's happened. So he ran for the mayor of the West Midlands,
and he actually got quite a for an independent
65,000 votes,
which is amazing. So
that's mental. He wasn't far off. I think he was only about 20,000.
Yeah, no, he wasn't. And the most successful independent, and he definitely would have swayed the result of the election. Because the margin of victory was tiny, right?
Yeah.
Labour won by 0.5%, so he effectively swayed the election. So one of the most famous independent candidates ever was this doctor in a constituency in Gloucester, and the hospital was fucked, and he ran on a sole single issue of I'm going to fix the hospital for this constituency.
Yeah.
And he won, and that makes so much sense. He's a respected pillar of the local community. And and he's a doctor and he knows about the issue. Ahkmed Yakoob has swayed the outcome of the West Midlands mayoral election by being a lawyer that gets criminals off. And he's still...
Well, yeah, what is quite funny, I sent you a comment, didn't I?
Yeah.
Do you remember I sent you... Yeah, you're right, he gets criminals off. I think think about how many votes he'd
alleged criminals off.
Well, yeah, I was just going to say, think how many votes Ahkmed Yakoob would have got if alleged criminals knew how to register to vote. If they could get through the golf.co.uk platform.
Well, actually, no, I don't even think you can. I think that exempts you from voting.
Yeah,
I don't know if you've been, or if you're in prison, I can't remember.
But he did get one comment on one of his campaign launch videos where someone was like, "Don't vote for this man. We paid him loads of money to get our friends out of jail and he didn't even turn up to court." But this is the thing with him. I don't think fucking again. He obviously cares about Palestine and stuff like that, right? But I don't think he actually cares about being a politician.
Right.
He wants something else. And I can never put my finger on what it is with this guy, whether it's fame, notoriety, or money, or a combination of the few. But it's as you were saying when we watched that video, he's a good public speaker. He's a really good speaker. But there are subtle signs in the way that he speaks that shows he doesn't actually know what he's talking about.
100%.
Because he's really good. And he's like a TikTok dream. Because, in the way that the subtitles kind of sometimes they jump a bit and they move around to try and get the Gen Z lizard brain that just needs some kind of stimulation every two fucking bits of a second. The way he speaks is perfect because he puts too much enunciation on every syllable of every word. He's if he tried to do the intro to the podcast, he's like, "Welcome to the Screen Rot podcast where we discuss the weirdest and worst." That's how he speaks.
Right.
But the way he enunciates and the way he pronounces bits of sentences, you can kind of tell he doesn't know which bit to put emphasis on. There was a bit in there where he's like, "I want change." Change what?
I got the sense of when he was talking as well is that as most people, you don't really know what being the mayor of the West Midlands entails.
No.
It's quite a large metropolitan area and it requires a lot of kind of collegiate working. I get the sense that he thinks if I win, I'm just kind of like the king. Yeah. And I can just kind of like that, just be like, get that man, clap him in irons. Do you know what I mean? I think that's the vibe in his eyes is if you just let me be the benevolent dictator of the West Midlands, I will sort this out.
He doesn't understand it's basically an admin role. But that's the thing. And it's an interesting thing about politics and politicians and the way politics is going. We again, this will go out on election day. I suspect, and we've said this before, and I think it'd be a much narrower margin than people expect. But I do think we will have a Keir Starmer-led Labour Party. It might be a coalition government, but I do think he'll be the Prime Minister.
My hopes of the Tories are building so much that they'll inevitably win.
Yeah. But no, I think it will be tighter. But I do think Starmer will win. But I remember I had a conversation with my dad years ago, and this was at a time when Trump was sort of building traction in America, where Boris wasn't quite, but was coming. We all knew Boris was coming, and Corbyn was, making a lot of noise as well. And I remember sitting with my dad and having a beer once, and my dad being like, it's all fucking mental. Now I can't remember. I think the word he described was like ideologues. Do you know what I mean? It's like people who've got these huge ideologies, and he was like, I don't know when my dad was referring to, but it was like, you know, a few years ago, mate. It was just administrators.
Yeah.
It was like, it was just administrators, and they were weather clocks. You know, whatever the public want, they would try to deliver it. And you know, between John Major and the politicians we grew up with, it's not to sort of romanticise Tory governments or even new Labour governments that weren't great for everyone, but it felt like there was a distinct period of time where it was just kind of like middle-aged guys in suits who would basically do whatever you want, as long as they could get the top job.
Yeah.
Then it became these huge ideologues who had huge ideologies around politics and what they wanted to do with the world. And it does feel like it's now reverting back to where it was with the Starmers and even Sunak to an extent. You don't really get the impression Sunak gives a fuck about anything he says. But but what it means is that the ideas guys, and you know, Trump will win in America, but in the UK anyway, the ideas guys are now independent voices again. And you know, I say that as someone who lives in Islington North, where
Jez is going to win probably.
Well,
maybe.
I mean, I saw him the other day, didn't I?
In the park.
Fuck. Mate,
Do you reckon he's not up for it? We're just kind of doing it out of...
No, he's game. And I should say, my position on Jez, like, I don't think he's the best politician in the world, and I'm kind of glad he's not representing the Labour Party anymore. But I do think he's a decent bloke deep down. There are people who, you know,
and probably very good as a local MP in terms of like
that's the thing.
Yakoob not really understanding the job. Like Jez knows about potholes and that kind of thing.
Well, I fucking ask him. As I've said on this podcast before, I see him all the time. And I always mention stuff like that to him, and he's always on. Right, we'll have a look. And it's like, will ya? You didn't last week, mate. But it's so funny. The other day, I was walking back from the gym, and there's just a load of old, like proper old school Waitrose crusties in the park. Do you know what I mean? Those kind of like grey-haired old fuckers who will have like a tote bag and will wear like walking shoes, and they're slim. They're not like big middle-aged people. Like I grew up, middleaged people were quite big. Yeah. These lot aren't. They don't drink.
No.
It's middle-aged people. It's like proper 60-year-old boomers with loads of money, but they go on marches and shit. They were all in the park, and there was police. And I said to one of the coppers, I was like, "Oi, what's going on?" And they were like, "Oh, Corbyn's coming." I was like, "No way." And what was quite funny, I don't know, I was in a stupid mood, so I text my missus. I called my missus. I was like, "Where are you in the kids?"
You're in a stupid mood. How did anyone know?
I was like, "Get the kids, come down. This will be a laugh." And I was being a prick. I kept like, because bless them, there's all these like young people who, you know, young people love him, don't they? Yeah. There's all these like young volunteers. They go around with clipboards, be like, "What do you vote for, Jeremy?" And I was winding them up. I was like, "Where's his England shirt? Why ain't he got an England shirt on?" And they're like, "Oh." Anyway, what was funny? I mean, there's a couple of things that happened. First of all, oh god, it's more people from the school. Basically, I was in a stupid mood, and there was one of the women from the school. She just had a baby. She walked past the park, and because I'm in this stupid mood of going, "Well, why has he not got an England shirt on?" And they're walking around with badges and all going, "You got any football hooligan gear? You got any balaclavas with Corbyn on it?" And then she come past with her baby, and I was like, "Let's have a look at the baby." And she was like, "Oh." Anyway, but my neighbour, one of the lads who lives next door to me, I don't know his name. He's a really funny. He's an odd fella. Right. This guy, sort of mid to late 30s, bald guy living in this house share next door. And he's a proper wears a rosette and goes knocking on doors for Labour. Right. And he's done it for years. Like, I think he's written a book. And every now and then I'll come home late at night and I'll see him playing Guitar Hero with his shirt off in his bedroom. Anyway, this fella, I'm skipping out the park to try and find my missus and kids so I can show off in front of them basically while I wind up all these Corbyn supporters.
You're in a stupid mood.
This guy, I was in a stupid mood. This guy passes the park, and he's a proper Labour head. I was like, mate. He was like, "Oh, hello, hi." I was like, "Mate, come, look, Corbyn's having a chat. Let's go and fucking watch Corbyn together. This will be lovely." He's like, "I'm not going in there. I don't agree with that man." And I was like, "Yeah, it's a laugh though, isn't it?" He was like, "No," and he stood there and he was talking really loud, and he's like, busy park Saturday afternoon, and he's pointing at all the people and he's going, "Look at these lot wasting their time. Me and my party have been out knocking on doors, changing minds, while these lot waste their time in the park." And what's funny, you know, like as you can see, there's like a big football thing in our park. Yeah. You always get little shits there, you know, you just little shits, you know, little like 16-year-old kids, knocking about on their Uber fucking bikes and all that. There's like a gang of them coming out of the park, and they got a vague impression of what this guy's, and they were like 15, these kids, 14, 15, and they were like, they heard what my neighbour was saying, and they started like heckling. They're like, "Oh, fuck you, mate, fuck Labour, up Corbyn." And he got like
chased out the park.
40, 50-year-old kids. This guy went, "Fuck you, up Labour," and ran away.
Back to playing Guitar Hero.
The point I'm trying to make is like politics sends people mental. It sends people mental. And I watch Ahkmed Yakoob and his blatant thirst for fame and money and his blatant disregard for what politics, the boring nitty gritty of what politics actually involves. And I'm like, you know what, mate? You're above this. You know what I mean? Like, can we just watch the Parks one quickly?
Yeah.
This one's really funny because I think what this one depicts, you said it so well, mate. He's not thought about what being the mayor means. No. This is when he was running to be mayor rather than being
the
general
MP,
election.
right.
I think, I can't remember. This is him talking about Parks.
This is about talking about what he's going to do.
Plate ball cricket tournament in Summerfield Park, organised by Brother Wahid, doing a great job here. Semi-final right now. It's all about supporting community projects. We need more parks, we need more libraries, we need more facilities for support and education. Our youth need alternatives than driving around and doing balloons.
It's just like Tony Soprano.
Totally ignored by our representatives and neglected. I will be addressing the issue of sports and education.
The issue of
sports. Making sure our youth benefit from this.
Now, there's a couple of things I find really funny there. One, as you say, he's dressed like Tony Soprano. He's got some fucking heavy stood next to him. Like, two, the fact we need to build more parks. How'd you do that?
Good luck with that.
Yeah, good luck with that, Mr. Mayor.
Birmingham, by the way, has the largest park in Europe.
Yeah. Three, there's one bit where he goes, we need to stop the youths driving around with balloons. I have watched at least 2 videos where he explains to people who've been caught doing balloons how to get off. He's literally trying to win the vote by saying that he's going to clean up his own fucking mess.
So good. And that's a real, like, kind of criminal that wants to be caught vibe from him as well. Just being like, you know what we need to stop? People doing balloons or people advising people how to get off from charges. I don't know, just off the top of my head. It's
so fun. Do you know what it reminds me? I mean, this is a fucking reference. It reminds me of a play I read when I was at school. Have you heard of a play called The Irresistible Rise of Arturo Ui?
I have, yeah.
And it's kind of like a metaphor. It's about these like mobsters in America. And how one of the mobsters becomes like the mayor.
This is a Hitler allegory, right?
It's like a metaphor for Hitler's rise in Germany. But it is like the mobster thing. He's like a mob boss. It's like if there was an episode of The Sopranos where Tony tries to become the mayor, this would be the storyline.
He definitely is, and this is again Instagram bleeding into politics. The music that is in the background of that video is the music that often accompanies like videos of like dudes being a savage or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Like dudes doing a cold plunge and like shooting an animal or something.
Yeah.
He is adopting the aesthetic of like the kind of Joe Rogan, like
Tate
tough,
Brothers.
Tate Brothers tough guy. But he's running to be the mayor of the West Midlands.
And we should say that there is something serious we should address. Is that, as we say, we do believe that he cares about a lot of the things he speaks about. In terms of some of the local issues, he's the fucking cause of the problem. Mm-hmm. His campaign to run in the general election has been derailed somewhat by things that he says on podcasts.
Yeah. Who could imagine how people's lives could be derailed by things said on podcasts? And this is the thing, like we've got a lot of laughs out of Ahkmed Yakoob, but like he said some objectionable shit recently, most of it revolving around women.
We got some of it here.
I don't really want to
run through it.
It's a real vibe killer. But headlines here: Ladywood general election candidate Ahkmed Yakoob under fire over sparking out LGBT comments.
So do you know what that is? So I actually read this article, and it's obviously not funny, but the way he's tried to get out of it is quite funny. Because I can almost
there is a defence for every offence.
Exactly, but I can imagine him doing a TikTok video telling people to use this excuse.
Right.
Like I swear there are fucking 600,000 different podcasts a day where boring men talk about the trans issue, and he was doing one of those where someone was like,
"You're never more than 9 feet away from a man doing a podcast about about trans people."
And they're on a podcast and they're like, Mr. Yakoob, what do you think about trans people using fucking gender neutral toilets or whatever? And he was like, if I ever saw someone in a toilet near my wife, I would spark them out. Now, obviously, everyone was like, that's fucking disgusting. You can't say that.
The lawyers admitted to wanting to assault people.
Yeah. But his defence for this offence was was to go, no, I wasn't saying that I would spark out a trans woman. I was saying if any dirty man tried to get in a toilet with my wife, it's like, you weren't fucking saying that at all. And like, obviously they took down the podcast, hid the podcast. You can't see the podcast where Ahkmed Yakoob apparently just said he was trying to hit a dirty man.
Can I just say as well, your impression of Ahkmed Yakoob is A, excellent, and B, unbelievably unproblematic. I can't believe that you've done that really well.
I don't mind dissecting that. Yeah.
Oh no, please don't ruin it.
No, I'm not going to ruin it. But I'm just going to say, obviously, I don't want to like mimic a man of Middle Eastern heritage the way he speaks.
South Asian heritage,
it's South Asian heritage.
I think so, yeah.
But it's the Birmingham accent, but it's the punchy way that he speaks about. It's that's what I found so funny about him. Is it's as people who edit reels, we know there's a tool that's called highlight on subtitles, which makes each word pop as someone says it.
He's doing
He's doing that with his voice. My name is Ahkmed Yakoob, and today I'm running for.
That's so good. That's really good. I think him and Trump would be mates as well. But they probably have differing views on a lot of things.
This is what Trump has opened the door for. Any old fucking idiot with enough money to make the videos can run for... I mean, we could.
And this just shows how far we've come as well, because I remember the big thing of like, probably the biggest election of one of the biggest elections of our lives was the 2010 election of Ed Miliband was leader of the Labour Party. Can you remember what the big tactic that Ed Miliband did at that time to try and court the young vote? Do you remember what he did?
Was it? Well, there was a few. He was interviewed by Russell Brand.
You interviewed by Russell Brand.
Told everyone not to vote
on the trues. Yeah, and famously, Ed Miliband kind of on that was just going, Russell Brand's there like, I don't think blah blah blah, and he's just like, you're just wrong, and that was his thing. And like that at the time felt like we'd crossed a Rubicon where it's like because he went to Russell Brand's house as well. Russell Brand didn't come to him. The leader of the Labour Party went to Russell Brand. And it's like we've got to look how far we've come in 14 years. Now, an Instagram personality who's famous for doing dodgy stuff with criminals is now on podcasts talking about sparking out people. And it's just like, what have we done?
Keir Starmer went for a walk with Gary Neville in the Lake District.
Did he?
Have you not listened to it?
I've not seen it.
Oh, mate, it's good. It's on the overlap.
Oh,
but this is the thing. The comms team for these people, that's where they're sending. I mean, there was one Corbyn did the other day that was. It was. Again, not atrocious in the. If
any of the leaders of the political parties want to come on screen, right? This is an open. An open invitation. Rishi Sunak, come on screen, right?
I reckon we could get Jez. I mean, I see him every fucking. If I just take the microphone with me, I'm sure I could get him.
I reckon we could get the leader of the Lib Dems. We could get Ev Davey on.
Yeah. I don't even know who he is, but there was one Corbyn did the other day, and it's like this really like young fucking like content creator,
right?
And he's doing like a quick fire. Like real quick fire questions for a reel, and it was just so cringe. It's not the thing he says, but it's the way they say it. It's like this, and it's like a 73-year-old man doing quick fire questions for a reel, and this guy's like London or up north, and he's like, I like both, and he's like he's like English or Spanish food, and he goes Spanish, and then the guy goes movie if you support Israel, and they're both just like,
oh my god.
It's like music playing in the background while both of them stand really still. It's like, are you doing a dance? Are you playing a game?
And this is the thing about, like, if politics is on the 10 o'clock news, you can't have, like, favourite food coming into that. It's the news. But now Instagram has just smashed two things together. Yeah. So in one video, Ahkmed Yakoob is actually making some very valid points about like we need to invest in youth services. I want the kids to do stuff or whatever. Then on the next video, he's like, and maybe we should watch this to finish. He's like, here's how to use WhatsApp if you want to deal drugs.
Right, yeah. So this is what this is recent, by the way.
He's still doing this.
One. He's like, while saying we need to stop kids using balloons, he's still advertising his services as a solicitor for this.
Is WhatsApp an encrypted chat? The answer to that is yes and no. WhatsApp is only encrypted whilst in transition. So only whilst you are sending the messages
looks unreal.
that the police or the
so good.
can't pick them up. But once the police get into your device, then it is not encrypted and they can see your sent messages and received messages unless you have your settings on 24-hour disappearing messages. Then it will be difficult, although not impossible, for the authorities to read those messages. Always remember, there's a defense for every offense.
Now, who could possibly need that information? Well, maybe some young children are sending some jokes to each other, but they don't want the memory to clog up their phone. That's it. That's the people that need that information.
What do we need for the young people in Birmingham? We need more parks. We need more sporting facilities, and we need them all to have disappearing messages on WhatsApp.
Well, I think we've managed to find some
and
fun.
we've trod a fucking delicate line whilst
I think
doing
so. I have to listen back to see whether we stepped on any tripwires there. But I think obviously there's many things that Ahkmed Yakoob has said that are deeply objectionable and we deeply disagree with, and we. In a way, I think that it does disqualify him entirely, even if he's right about other stuff. It does disqualify him entirely from holding office.
Yeah.
It is a bit scary that people like him are getting into politics. If Bevo runs for the MP of Basildon, then we'll know we're really through the looking glass.
Screen what episode? Who's most likely to get in office one day? Top jaw.
Top jaw.
Yeah.
Schooner scorer, MP for Balham.
Thank you very much for listening, writers. We'll see you next time.
Take care.